Hi, happy to be at the World Water Week 2024 at the Waterfront Congress in Stockholm. Durga and I had a talk show where we discussed about water anxiety over water security. This was the only talk show in the world, entire 5 days of program where we discussed a concept like water anxiety. So when we look at water anxiety, we see the medical term used for it is hydrophobia, where you have fear of water. We are extending that idea into looking at the social and political as well as economic aspect of anxiety. And we talk about the whole anxiety amongst the haves or the affluents and amongst the have-nots, the vulnerable community who all are constantly in that fear and uncertainty about the access to water and sanitation. And in our applied research project, we have taken a specific focus on disaster-led displacement and distress, where we decode disaster also into two parts, and we talk about man-made disasters and natural disasters, which we call as floods, drought, landslides, cloudburst, and man-made disasters indeed as wars, communal violence, stampedes, encroachment, demolition, and so on and so forth. Water epidemics, to be honest. When we look at the distress, we again decode into two aspects of distress: the physical distress of walking to the water or not having water, but also along with it, there is a psychological distress. Even if I have water today or I manage to get water today, will I get water tomorrow or not? So every woman around the world sleeps with that tension, I must say, that they have to be, alert and awake to ensure that the family gets water. If there is so much of money going around in water security, we need to start thinking that why can't we really attain water security for all? And UN SDG 6 has been there for a long, long time, and there has been equally a lot of impetus on supporting women, which is SDG 5 in this side. And I think it's a good time that we start looking at innovative ideas as well as unconventional way of looking at water security. And that's where we are coining the idea of water anxiety, and also extending the idea to vulnerable community, from vulnerable community to even the affluent community. And we are seeing a lot can be co-learned between the communities who have water and who do not have water. And there is a serious possibility of bridging the learning process between them. And I say this because while the vulnerable community is struggling to get access to water and sanitation, but in the process, they have developed some attributes or characteristics of building community resilience. On the other hand, where the affluent community still has water, but are also concerned about the uncertainty with the kind of policy and discussion going around of water scarcity or crisis around the world, there is certain level of anxiety which is growing up. And in their in our lifestyle and occupation, there is a kind of a missing gap of building resilience. When we don't know our neighbors in the neighborhood, there is less likely that we can talk about building community resilience. So in our project, in a way, we are looking at in a possibility where the vulnerable community can be supported by the affluent community, and the learning can come from the vulnerable community on community building resilience. So in a way, it's a two-way process where each community can really offer what they have, both in terms of services and in terms of, security. And specifically, I think for the youth, this becomes extremely important from the affluent community. If we can connect them to the vulnerable community, where we are talking about disaster-led displacement, I think youth can also find purpose to life. And at the same time, if we are focusing on women from the vulnerable community to help them, we are already discussing of an inclusive approach to help the entire family. So in nutshell, the project has really a lot of merits. However, we are faced with certain challenges, and The challenges are logistical, and I will say there is no challenge in the ideation, but also there will be no challenge in the implementation of the project. But the challenge is the formation of a new organization. We have set up WODER for this project, and it's a not-for-profit registered organization in UK. And we are looking at different disaster-led situations around the world. So as a global project, it is a large-scale action research project which is planned. So we are looking at hurricane in Mexico, Gaza for war. We are looking at Nepal earthquake, Bangladesh salinity ingress, Glof in Sikkim. We are looking at flood in Bihar. We want to look at cyclone in Chennai. We are also interested to look at the Uganda situation of Ebola. So we have identified these hotspots of disasters where people are displaced. And I'm just walking to Manipur right after 2 days to look at the communal violence, which is ongoing for last 15 months, where 60,000 people are displaced and living in a very distressed situation, and particularly women are very unsafe. So we are kind of a new organization in that sense to look at this large scale project, but at the same time, we have a body of experience working in the water sector. Both Durga and I have been around for quite some time. So we are looking for serious collaboration. And at the World Water Week, we have met quite a number of possible collaborators. But the important aspect to highlight in this discussion of collaboration is that we are looking for collaborators who can really contribute in a small possible way. And we want to really distribute the project into smaller projects, or divide the big project into smaller project based on region and based on the disaster. So we give a shout to all the possible collaborators who work in the disaster sector to come forward and support us and take a possible case where we can offer on-ground support, we can offer research support, we can offer connecting to a trustworthy collaborate on ground, NGO, CSO, and local people. We can facilitate the whole process where one can think of engaging in the short-term requirements of the community as well as long-term requirements of engagement, where we can talk about more water conservation, where we can talk about policy changes, setting up community committees to look after their water to ensure. And in the short run, whatever immediate is required to ensure safe drinking water and sanitation, as well as safety of the women and children around the distressed area. So yes, this is a call from WforW Foundation and WODER. So WODER is registered in UK as not-for-profit, and WforW Foundation is registered in India as not-for-profit. And we are seriously seeking partners to work with us on this important aspect and really make a better place and ensure water security for all at all the time, and particularly these distressed areas of disaster where it takes a while for people to recover from the psychological setback they face. And that's where water anxiety becomes extremely important. But because we are bringing the people or the youth from the urban areas to connect with them, I think there is a serious collaboration possible between the two communities, and we should be facilitating that possibility. Thanks.